Welcome to Kick Back with Chris. Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast.
Brought to you by Martialytics. Easy to use, super powerful management software for your martial arts school.
All right, guys. So thanks for sticking with us first and foremost, this new podcast format, because I know that I just woke up one day and decided, hey, I'm going to do a podcast again, and I'm going to do it completely different to what everybody's been listening to so far. But joking aside, thanks for the feedback that everybody's been sending in, all three of you. No joking. There's a bit more than that, thankfully. But yeah, thanks for the feedback, guys. It really is appreciated, and it's good to know that I'm doing something right with this whole podcasting lark. What I didn't realise is I just ticked over 100 episodes as well. That completely slipped under the radar. I didn't even notice that until I was uploading and it said 100. And I was like, oh, okay, that's... Should have really known that was coming and planned a little bit better. Sorry, Donovan. I'm not saying if you're watching, or listening, I'm not saying that you weren't a worthy guest for episode 100, but I could have made more of an effort, to be honest, couldn't I? Let's be fair. He's probably not listening. He's probably not listening anyway. No, I don't know. Maybe he is from his new car with all of his parking tickets he keeps getting. Anyway, joining me on the phone and in person, nodding very silently like the pro that he is for the people who are watching the video version, I have Mr. Damien Harfield. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, yeah, good. How you doing, man?
I've just realised that's the first time I've said your name in full out loud.
It sounds weird. I'm not going to lie. Nobody calls me Damien. It just doesn't happen.
You see, the really weird thing is, if I can say it, is that I get called by my full name like all the time, and it really irks me. It's like, why do you not use anybody else's full name when you're addressing them or speaking to them? Like, I don't get it.
It's Mr. Chris Jones.
Yeah. Everyone uses my full name all the time. Like, it's weird.
So I either get called Mr. H by the students because we figured out years ago that Harfield was a bit of a mouthful for the 3-year-olds, so we just abbreviated it. Or most people who know me, they call me Damo because for some reason, most people can't be bothered with Damien. I'm like, that's absolutely fine by me. I hate my first name anyway. Oh man,
I think most people don't like their own names. It's just a thing that we have, isn't it?
That generation where the Omen films were a thing.
Oh no.
Yeah, man. And I swear to God, cousins, parents, like all my aunts and uncles, of which we have many, every time they saw me, that, oh, if we shave your head, are we going to see a 666 on your scalp? I'm like, no, you bloody not. So,
oh well, right. I tell you what, we should do really for the benefit of everybody out there that's listening and watching in, that for some reason hasn't come across you on social media yet or anywhere else. I think the thing with the last episode was I was being a bit of a lazy in that I just had the person on from my previous episode, so I didn't really have to do an intro because everybody already knew who he was, because they're like, well, it's this guy again. He was on last time. But for the benefit of anybody out there that doesn't know who you are, in a nutshell. Keep it brief, if you can. Who are you, and why are you on my podcast? Besides the fact I asked you.
Yeah, that's all good, man. So my name is Damien, which we've established is terrible. And long story short, I've been training since I was about 15. So 22 odd years. I've been teaching since 2012 full time. I did some part-time teaching before then. But I suppose I'm in the realm now of, I'm kind of like building my own thing. So we're building schools, we're building teams, because that's kind of what I do. But I guess I'm fairly known for, I'm not well known, but I'm fairly known for kids and all that jazz. Like, I have spent almost my entire professional teaching career studying how to teach kids properly from different angles, as well as how to create some of the best systems that I know how to create, with the input of my team who've been with me for donkey's years, in terms of developing kids and that sort of thing. So I guess whenever anybody talks to me, it's about family classes and kids and all that jazz. So if I'm known at all, it'll be for that.
I'm going to say, when you said you're known for kids, I was going to say, like one of them families you see on telly with like 25 kids or something.
Yeah,
like.
well, 15 kids, 6 wives. No,
that's why you've got that much coffee, is it?
Yeah. None of that is true.
Mate, you could swim in that.
Mm.
The benefit of people listening, Damon's
is
got the
small.
biggest mug of coffee I've ever seen.
This is my small mug. So this is bought. It's got a massive
see.
massive fan of Friends. It's got a Central Perk mug, the big oval one. But I've also got my wife bought me a pint mug for Father's
Jesus
Day a year or so back. So that's what I normally start the day with, and this is like mid morning.
Oh, well, I've got my autofocus turned off, so this might not work. But that's my mug that I've got today.
Little Miss Fun. That's yours, is it?
That's mine.
So it's Miss Jones, is it?
Well, I found it it was in the kitchen and it was clean, so it's getting used.
Are you like we've got like 200 mugs in the house, and we just cycle through them until they're all dirty. Then we chuck them in the dishwasher and start again. Yeah, that's what we do. Because I don't know about you, but every Christmas, and this is not a complaint if any of my students find this, every Christmas, it feels like the default gift for an instructor is a mug. And so I'll get like anywhere between 6 and 20 new mugs every Christmas. And it's like, right, okay, that goes in the office, that's going in the kitchen. And we just cycle through them. We don't wash them. And then when they're all dirty, that's when we chuck them in the dishwasher.
That's efficient. Somebody comes to visit and opens your dishwasher and they just think, crikey.
The whole of the top line is just mugs. That's it. But what else do you buy martial arts instructors? Like, we tend to buy one. It's like DVDs, no, got that. Weapons, for the purpose of whatever, safety weapons, always plastic, of course, never the real thing.
No.
So you're not going to buy them that for Christmas, are you? So that it seems to be the default. It's either chocolate or mugs. So which is
two things that we're never going to turn away, even like at the minute when I claim that I'm on a bit of a caffeine. To be fair, I am actually doing really well with my caffeine control because it was getting out of control. And I just woke up and thought, that's it, enough. I'll have 2 coffees in the morning and that's me for the day.
Sorry. Are these one immediately after the other, or are you staggering them? Yeah, they're immediate. No. Just get a bigger mug. Well,
yeah, but it feels better. And it's also, I drink coffee really slowly. So the time it takes me to drink a coffee, it could have gone cold. So yeah, I was getting out of control, mate. I was having coffees all morning. Then I was lining up energy drinks in the night, and it wasn't affecting my sleep or anything. I was just very conscious of the fact that it's probably not very good for me.
Well, that's when you know it's not good, because it's not affecting your sleep.
Yeah.
If you're consuming caffeine all day and you sleep like a baby, like myself, there's a problem.
Yeah, I felt like death on legs for about 4 days when I cut it out, but after that, I actually feel a lot better for it. So.
I did that once. I went on a cleanse. You know how people do that from time to time.
Me.
Yeah, yeah. From time to time, people usually fall back in their old habits. But I had a 4-day migraine because I'd cut caffeine out cold turkey. Worst thing ever. I'm never doing it again. I'm accepting my dependence upon caffeine, and I am more than happy to continue to consume it until the doctor turns around and says, "Your blood pressure's a bit high, mate. You might want to cut that out." I'm like, "Yeah, great. I'll cut it down. Don't think I'll cut it out."
Yeah, that's all I did. I did cut it out once completely, and that was just not fun. It just flat out was not fun at all. But I can see actually it benefit the people who are listening as well. On your mic shelf there, you've got quite a selection of coffee going off there.
Oh yeah, man. So I for a short stint, I ran out of time. Like, I like to start something, and then if it doesn't benefit me in any way, shape, or form, I'll stop it. And so I did a brief stint of a YouTube channel, which I still do from time to time if I get something interesting. But it was solely about reviewing coffee. And so I went and bought a whole bunch of coffees to review, and they slowly went up and up in strength. So I went and got all the standard stuff like Skull Crusher, if you've ever heard of it. That seems to be like a really big one on the market in terms of really strong coffees. So I got espresso beans, I got coffees and all sorts up here. But the one, and I don't get paid for this. If anybody's wondering if I get advertising, I found a coffee that was insane, and it's literally just called Very Strong Coffee. So if Skull Crusher's got like 350 milligrams of caffeine in it, how much do you reckon's in there, mate?
Oh, mate, I don't even want to guess. 300.
1,000
Oh, my days.
1,300 milligrams of caffeine per, I think it's 100 milliliters that they average it out.
Wow, that's I can
Yeah.
I can see why that's still got some in there.
So this is because I been drinking coffee since I was what 12, 13, something like that.
You're gonna say 3 or something.
Three. Yeah, I don't have ADHD. I have caffeine.
Yes.
Yeah, so I got loads of coffee. I don't know. I could bang on about coffee forever, but yeah, I like it. And I think I'm one of those where I've just drunk it so much that I like the taste. Whereas, let's face it, nobody likes the taste of coffee. You're just addicted to the caffeine content. And then energy drinks came out, and that was a mistake. Oh God.
Yeah, they are. I'm a nightmare for those because what I'll generally do is I'll stop completely, and then what usually happens is I get ill, and then I think, oh come on, I've got to keep functioning. I've got to keep functioning. I can't, It happened last week. I managed to dodge them last week. I didn't manage to get through without having any, but I'll have one because I knew it had set me off, and then that's it. It's like, oh, I'll have another one 2 days later, and then I'll have another one a day later, and then the next thing you know, it's back on the whole.
Yeah.
Constant.
Well,
And you're taking them to the till, and you're thinking, oh, I shouldn't be doing this.
They know what
Then
they're doing, 'cause you buy the individual ones. They're what, £1.50, £1.39, whatever. You buy a pack of 4, it's basically works out as £1 each, and they are always on sale. It's like, no, that's the regular price. Sales are absolute rubbish. And so you buy. I don't know about you, but if you buy a pack of 4 and you put it in the car or wherever, it's gone within 2 days. It's like I've just had 4 in 2 days, whereas normally that at least be one a day. Yeah.
So I just try and stay away from them. But I mean, I know you do. We work wonky hours, don't we?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't sleep at all, from what I can make out.
So, very quick day. I'll get up in the morning, take the kids to school because it's nice as martial arts instructors. We don't have to do anything in the morning. We can. We don't have to. And then I'll do admin and work during the day, building the business, advertising, all that great stuff. And then I'll go and teach in the afternoon/evening. Some of my locations are an hour and 20-minute drive, so I'll drive home.
Wow, I didn't realize you were that far.
I live in Wiltshire, and I teach in Newbury Thatcher and Basingstoke and Cown, and thankfully I'm not going to be doing it, but we're opening up in Birmingham soon because I don't fancy the 2 to 3 hour commute, but don't really fancy it. But by the time I get home on a regular day, it's what, 10, 11 o'clock, depending on traffic. And I'll sit down, finish off a couple of emails, and then I'll play video games. And that's my downtime, man. And I'll play video games until I want to say midnight, but it's more like 2 a.m. So, and then I'll get up again at 7:30, get the kids to school, and rinse and repeat. Love it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing as well, is everyone's different. I go through periods where I don't really need much sleep, and then it catches up with me, and I need it a lot.
I must admit, I've noticed as I've gotten older, I do need more sleep, and so there'll be periods of time where I'm like, no, I can't do that. I've just got to get to bed as soon as I go home at a decent hour, which for me is like 11 or midnight.
You reach the afternoon nap stage yet?
Oh yes, mate. Oh, they're amazing. I love them. So if I finished all my work in the morning, I'll have a nap sometime around 1, because I've got to leave the house at 3 to get to class on time, and it's beautiful.
There's nothing worse than when you fall asleep when you're not expecting it, and then you wake up and you're in that panic stage of what time is it? What day is it? What year is it? Why have I been asleep? Is it the next day? Did I miss an entire? It's awful. I hate that feeling. I hate it.
Oh, it's actually, I'm so in love with my afternoon naps that when somebody tries to book me in for something during the day, I actually take it into account. Can I work this around my nap? So it's like, oh, Mr. H, can you come in and do like an assembly or a PE lesson? I'm like, what's the time? Is it in the morning?
Oh, wow. Well, I just thought it was just me, but hey ho.
No, I,
Because
I
we're all
think
getting old.
I think if we were honest, I think there's a lot of martial arts instructors out there who would enjoy, if they can, because I know that not everybody does it full time, but who would very much either admit to the fact that they do it, or they would enjoy the prospect of being able to have an afternoon nap.
Oh wow! So, just trying to keep some sort of semblance of martial arts to these podcasts. I noticed that obviously you mentioned there that you're open in Birmingham.
Yeah.
How's that come about then?
Well, essentially, I'm working my way into a position, have been for a while, where we want to make sure that we open up in other locations. The whole point of me doing this on my own in the first place was to make sure that the systems and everything that we do, either we teach to other schools, and other schools have me in and learn the systems, and they take them and they'll change them, which is great because you've got to personalize whatever. And that's one way of doing it. And you've been there, loads of others have been there. It's like seminars and days where you go and visit schools, or you're booked in for events and you teach you what it is that you're known for. So that's one way of doing it. And the other way of doing it is just teach your own instructors and open up. Because one of the things I wanted to make sure that we did was have martial arts as a viable career.
Yeah.
Because what I've noticed is that you get a lot of like pop-up clubs. And what I mean by that is they'll pop up. The instructors are whatever they are. I'm not going to criticize or say they're amazing or terrible or whatever. They are what they are. But so we've got one day here, or you want to go 30 minutes up the road, we can do it another day over there. So a lot of people doing it like part-time, which is where the industry, from what I could always tell as a kid, that's where it came from. Your school in your local area would operate maybe 3 days a week. I think it's only in the last decade or two that people have really got like, I can make a living out of this.
Yeah.
And so I'm seeing a lot of these really good instructors coming in. They've been doing it since they were like the gentleman in Birmingham. He's been doing martial arts since he was 8 years old. He's been doing it for 12 years. The dude's like a phenomenal martial artist. But some people in this industry lack the businessware, like the know-how and how to get started. So it's like, well, if we can solve that problem, and that's essentially what we're doing. It's not franchising because we actually employ these people. So we pay their tax and they get a wage. And so I wanted to be able to provide an opportunity to teach the younger, and it sucks for me to say this because I've always been the younger generation until recently, because I'm 38 in a few months, like 2 or 3 months. But I think that's gotten to the point that's like the tipping point for me. So I'm not the younger generation anymore, Chris.
Oh, wow. I'm well tips then.
But it's about looking at these 20-year-olds going, they could be really good career martial artists. And at that age, you've got a choice to make. It's like, do you want to teach or do you want to compete? You can do both, but one usually kind of takes more time than the other, and so the other one tends to suffer. And so for those that wanted to teach, I was like, well, let's teach them all of what we do, employ them so that they actually get a stable wage. The way that we get that wage is because it's my responsibility to teach them how to market their school whilst they're learning, but also to use my resources to market their school so they've got the students to pay their flipping wage. Because that's the hardest thing. Is like, I've been there before. I think a lot of martial artists have. It's like you get to a certain number and you don't know what the problem is, but you struggle to get beyond that number. For me, it was 100. Like I couldn't get past. I had 99, then 101, then 93, and it just went back and forth for months over that like 100 marker, and I couldn't get past it. And this is what we're kind of doing for them. It's like, you need to get to a certain number to make sure that we can pay your wages. We're going to keep you at that number whilst you're there enjoying and learning how to teach properly and getting it all done and becoming great at running your school. We're going to teach you how to do essentially what it is that we're doing. And then because you're employed, and I might get a bit of flack for this, if you decided to turn around one day and say, look, Damien, it's been an amazing opportunity. I don't want to teach under you anymore. I want to go do it alone. I'm like, cool. Okay, crack on. And then they open up on their own. It's like, that's going to happen. Everybody's been through it. And if you haven't, it's coming. If you teach others, or, if you franchise, or if you employ, or whatever it is that you do, everybody goes through it. And so we've just got it from the beginning. It's like, well, if you want to go and do your own thing, fine. We'll facilitate a way to get that done. It is what it is. It's the same as like, I don't know, software engineer. you go work for Microsoft and you decide you don't like it, what do? You leave your job. Well, they're not going to
Mhm.
be like, well, you can't go and open up, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, why are we doing the same thing? Just let them get on with it. So yeah,
That's it. As
what we do.
it's that's cool. It's definitely a martial arts. I don't know, pride, ego, um, just an old school mentality that it's no, no, no. If you're my instructor or my student, then you can only ever do this for me for the rest of time in reincarnation and everything. And there's this constant fear, isn't there, that if another martial arts school opens near, that it's going to in some way impact you beyond. But it's not true. I mean,
No.
I remember a time when my school was the only full-time school in the area. There was no others, and then one by one others opened. And I think at our busiest, at our peak, was actually when there were probably the most active full-time schools in the area.
Mm,
When we were at our busiest. So the
nice.
two don't. I mean, if you go into the metrics, go into the numbers, and look at how many people actually live in your area versus how many of
Yes.
those people you could actually realistically service. There's no way. Our competition is the football clubs and the dance centres and the Xbox and the YouTube and Netflix. It's not other
100%.
martial arts schools.
100%. Your biggest competition is the sofa. It's
Yeah,
like it's that simple. Because if a child or an adult wants to do football, then they're never even going to look in your direction. It's never going to happen. You can market to them as much as you want. It's like if somebody came up to me and said, "Hey, would you like to do basketball?" I was like, "Dude, I'm 5'6". I've never looked into it. I'm never gonna look into it. So you just don't waste your money." It's the same thing. And like I've actually trained. I've trained my competition, and what I mean by that is there is a school in one of my areas who teaches kids, and the only reason that they started teaching kids is because I went into their organization to teach their instructors how to teach kids properly.
yeah.
And I knew what they were doing because they were very open and honest about it. And when they said, "Look, we're going to open up in your area," I'm like, "Great, do it." They're doing well, we're doing well, but you've hit the nail on the head. In like one of my smaller areas, take the town as an example, there are 18-ish thousand people. Now you discount everybody that's, never going to join. So I don't know, like people who are 90 odd or whatever, or
Yeah, yeah.
people who are like 18 months. You take away the population that you physically can't teach, and then you're still left with, I don't know, as a low estimate, you're left with 6,000 people that you can teach. And so I
Mm.
can't teach 6,000 people in a single area at best, 5 days a week, with a full-time center and a full-time team. Maybe I could teach 600 to 800, and that's staggering numbers. I know some people who are up there with full-time centers, but their full-time centers are massive. I'm talking about a
Mm.
small town. So
Mm.
I can teach maybe, let's say full-time 30. I can teach somewhere in the region of 150 to 200 people in a full-time town, making really good money. That still leaves 5,000 plus people that are competition
Yeah.
is just it's a fallacy, mate. And it drives me nuts. And
It
I
is.
think the time that you were busiest is when you were like you had loads of competitions because everybody's marketing, so
Yeah.
people know about martial arts. It's brilliant. Bring
Exactly,
on the competition.
exactly. No, that's it. It's true. And I mean, you go into any of these sort of newer commercial estates where they're popping up all over the place, and they'll have like a Taco Bell, they'll have a Burger King, they'll have a McDonald's, and they're all busy, but they'll attract the people that like them because there's only one version of my school. Well, you get the point. There's only one version of your school. Whether you have multiple schools, they'll all operate in a similar way, and the people that like those will go to you, and the people that don't like those will go to the other ones. And
Absolutely.
it's not competition, is it?
No.
Really, it's
Competition in our industry, it does exist, but it's not each other. And it really annoys me when people are like, oh. And to be fair, I have noticed over the 12, 13 years that I've been teaching that it's kind of less and less. Like over a decade ago, people were like keeping everything to themselves and it was all a bit
mm,
secretive. Fast forward to today, it's a lot less like that. Like a lot of martial artists and schools are sharing what they do. And it's the only way that anybody's going to be successful is like every industry trains each other. do you end up swapping instructors from time to time? Yeah, of course you do. Like, I may have an instructor leave me and go join a whole different organization. Fine. It just means that what they were offering is more what they want, and what I'm offering is not what they want. It's the same with students. Like, if I get somebody who is like, oh, I've had it before. I want MMA and I'm going to smash about. And it's like, well, that's cool, dude. We're not for you. We specialize in kids and families. We do have an adult program, but it's only a couple of days a week. Whereas, the family program's 5 days a week. We specialize in wholeheartedly different things. I still get people who are like, oh, I want to do kickboxing. I'm like, well, we're not a kickboxing club, but you're welcome to come along and see what it is that we do, because it's not the style, never has been. It maybe is for 2 to 5% of people who are like, oh, I want to do karate. So I have people come up and say, I would like to do karate. I was like, well, we're not a karate school, but come along and see if it's something you enjoy. And when they come along, 9 times out of 10, they'll sign up, because it's not the style, it's the instructors and the environment. Always has been.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, that's the thing, is it's not. They're asking for what they think they want, rather than they don't actually know what they want. They just put a name to it that they've seen.
Yeah,
well, I've seen this karate thing on TV, and that's what I want to do. And it's like, well, they've not actually been watching karate the whole time. They've been watching whatever it is, and it's just it's just exactly. It's a funny old game. It's fair to say. It's constantly changing as well. There's always I don't want to say challenges, but there's new things come along. Like I remember, I've been doing this long enough now to remember like all the fads that go through, from your Taibos to your Power Rangers to your, and there's always something. I was never a Power Rangers kid ever.
Yeah, but you're older than me. It's all right. It's allowed.
I remember when it came out. I think over here anyway. I think I was a teenager. In fact, I was, and it was on, and I recorded it, and I sat and watched it, and I was like, why does this exist? What is this? Why?
I think the Power Rangers came out in 92, which would have made me somewhere in the ballpark of 7 or 8. So I was the perfect age for Power Rangers. And it was amongst some 80s films I probably should not have been watching. It was that and Power Rangers that got me into martial arts. I was hook, line, and sinker.
Really?
Yeah, man, I loved it. I used to spend I don't know how much time in my bedroom after having watched an episode of Power Rangers, just copying the techniques and jumping about and trying to do hook kicks and all sorts of stuff, and catching my ankle on the furniture because I couldn't judge my distance, and cracking my head open on stuff because I was, I'm copying from TV. It's like trying to learn only from YouTube. It's never going to work particularly great. But that's what got me into it in the first place. I want to learn this stuff. Loved it.
Which one were you then?
I identified most with Billy, the Blue Ranger, because I was always a nerd, and when I was a kid, I'd lacked any confidence, and he was always the one who seemed unsure of himself.
Yeah.
And he was never really the front man to anything, but he had all those like abilities and the intelligence, and so he was actually like one of the OP Power Rangers. But he never realized it. So I'm not saying I'm OP, that's ridiculous, but I identified with the fact that he was a bit of a nerd and didn't like put himself forward. So for me, I was always the Blue Ranger. And what's even better is I think for the 30th anniversary, Blue Rangers come back.
Yeah.
Billy's back.
I haven't seen any of the new stuff. I wanted to watch it because everyone was talking about new Power Rangers, and I thought, well, I didn't watch old Power Rangers, so I'll probably just be as disturbed by it as I was when I was 12.
Yeah, the acting.
Do you know what I mean?
Bad. The acting is not much better, but my kids are the right age. So my daughter is 8 and my son is 5, so they're the perfect age. So 30-ish years later, and they're now watching what Daddy used to watch when he was.
That's so cool when you can do that.
Yeah, man. Especially now because it's all on Netflix. Like, all the Power Rangers, well, most of them used to be, but I think they're all on Netflix, or they were at one point. So they're watching the 30th anniversary like TV series and all this, that, and the other. And so I showed them the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Didn't like that at all. They're like, Dad, it's a box. It's not widescreen. It's really grainy. It's terrible. Even like by back then standards, it's not aged well.
Every episode was the same as well. That's the bit that I didn't get. Yeah. Every episode is the same. Thing comes to the planet, they fight it, the thing gets big, they get in a robot, they trash the same city every week. I mean, how they rebuild that city every week to get trashed again. in every episode. It's the same every time. I'm like,
it's like Marvel, isn't it? It's like every single Marvel film for the longest period of time was big bad comes in, the Avengers or whatever the superhero of the week is has to save the day, and there's usually some big beam of light that's from the sky down to the earth, and oh no, we've got to stop this MacGuffin from blowing everything up. Or as
you've also just explained every Transformers film there as well, haven't you?
Love it. But funnily enough, and this is why they did it. And it I don't know if they knew this or whether they found it out by accident, but if you ever teach your classes exactly the same to the little ones every week, you as an instructor will probably get bored. But I've had it where people are like, I don't know why, but my young classes are the busiest. I'm like, what do you do? I was like, I just do the same thing every week. It's like, that's why, because the little ones like routine because they feel safe. So the TV series can't be too different every week. Otherwise, you lose your audience. And your audience is, let's face it, like 7-year-olds at our age. So that's why they're all the same. Not only that, but it's lazy writing. They couldn't be bothered.
But yeah, and the earlier stuff, the vast majority of it was just regurgitated Japanese footage with some extra stuff thrown in there just to pacify the American audience, because we couldn't possibly show them the original footage dubbed. We'd have to they wouldn't accept foreign actors.
Yeah, well, back in
the sad times that were back then.
Back in the 90s, we as an audience couldn't hack it apparently. God, I've been watching subtitle stuff since I don't know how long. But yeah, it's like going back to the movie, because I said before I came on, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about because I don't have the same like movie influences. And I got thinking about it. So actually, no, it's just that we're slightly different generations. So correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of it's Bruce Lee.
Oh no, I was never into Bruce Lee.
No, never.
No, never. I've never been a Bruce Lee fan.
Your career hasn't taken off because of that.
No, I've never been a Bruce Lee fan. No, and people always like, oh, surely you must like. I've got some Bruce Lee films. Just by default, I have to.
What's your biggest era of influence from like films and stuff?
If in general, or are we talking?
Let's go general, because I find like Star Trek easy peasy. We talk about that occasionally. It's not the original series because it's the wrong
occasionally all the time.
Occasionally all the time. As I get a message from Chris, or Chris will get one from me. It's like, Damo, you're watching Picard. Come on, dude. I was like, I cancelled my subscription because I don't watch anything else other than Star Trek on Paramount TV Plus. And yeah, I got my I got the subscription back purely so I could chat about it with you.
No, it is a prescription. Huh? It is a prescription. I thought you nearly said prescription. It is for me. It is a prescription. It is. No, it is for me. It is literally like a medication. You know what I mean? Get my daily dose of Star Trek, and I'm all right with the world. Then
you talk to a Trekkie. There's a very clear cut. Right, the Next Generation is what got me in, or Deep Space Nine, or the original series. And I find that with films, like was it the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, like martial arts for 80? Yes, mate.
80s without a doubt. I mean, I was born in 80. And it's not that I didn't watch any 70s films, but yeah, no, I mean, I have vivid memories of, your Goonies and your Big Trouble in Little China, that sort of era of films, which we remember them as we saw them as little kids. And I remember I convinced my wife and my stepdaughter to watch Big Trouble in Little China because it was the best thing ever. And then I'm sat watching it with them. They've got very confused looks on their faces, and I'm thinking, this has not aged well.
No, it hasn't.
I remember this being infinitely better than this, and no. There's people out there screaming right now. But what I would say to those people is go and watch it now again and see if you remember it being as good as you remembered it to be 20 years ago. It's really not aged well.
For nostalgia, it's brilliant. Absolutely. But in terms of like, if you take it on the merits of it as just a film, it's not great. And that's putting it politely. But for me, it was like the Van Damme and I hate to say it now.
The martial arts.
Big time. Van Damme and Steven Seagal were my two biggest influences as a kid, and one of them has aged well and the other one not so much.
No, there's nothing wrong with being a fan of Steven Seagal's early films. His early films were awesome. I mean, the guy couldn't run. Couldn't run. His run was the weirdest run you've ever seen in a person. It's the strangest run, but his early films were awesome. And his acting in his early films was actually okay.
I think it's because he was trying.
He was constantly angry.
Oh yeah, but that was just kind of his default character.
Yeah.
And people will criticize some actors who have not made it. I'm like, whatever. So, they only play the same characters. Like, yeah, but if you look at all of the actors who have made it, they do the same thing. Point in case, Tom Cruise, he plays the same character in the same way in every movie. It just so happens that his movies took off, in like a big way. And it's like actors.
Yeah, it's
they stick
what's
to
his
it.
name? Oh God, I'm terrible with names. Deadpool bloke.
Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, he's the same in every film.
Yeah, same and everything. I've seen a couple of like more smaller independent films with him in, and again, there's exceptions to every rule, and he's actually really good in them. But he tends to, sticks in his lane, which I think for a career is something you kind of have to do, unless you're going to make a career out of being different in every role.
Yeah.
Like, he's retired now. Daniel Day-Lewis is a prime example of that. He's different in every movie, so you got to do one or the other. So this is me who's never made a movie in my life. Don't take my advice, but you tend to find that it's either you're the same in everything or you're different in everything, and those tend to be like the two biggest trajectories for a career.
But Jackie Chan's the same. He's the same in all 500 films he's ever made. He's literally just Jackie Chan in every film.
Same dude. Same dude. But
they went through a period where they actually just called him Jackie in his films for a while as well, just to make it easy for the audience. So, like, we may as well just get rid of this wall and just it's Jackie Chan in the film, and that's who he is in the film. Let's not even bother giving him his character a name. It just lives in a different place and has a slightly different life, but it's the same guy in every film. There's a period in the late 90s where when they dubbed his films, they just called him Jackie. They just called his character because it was easier. But like, well, everyone knows who he is, so we'll just
call him Jackie.
Yeah, like Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. Yeah, it's just like, hey, it's Tom.
It's like, it's a Scientology dude. Is it? Yeah, we know who you are, Tom. It's all good, man.
Hey, I tell you, on the subject of films, I tell you what I stumbled upon the other day. Well, I didn't stumble upon it. I knew it existed. You have those films in your need to watch list.
Yes.
And then you just never get around to watching them.
Many.
Well, I watched the first Equalizer film the other day. The Denzel Washington. I'd never seen it before, and I watched it going, how the frick did I miss this?
What do you think of it?
Slightly John Wick-esque sort of. It was cool.
Yeah, it was.
All I could think of whenever I saw the title was the original TV series.
Yeah, I never caught the original series, so I've got no frame of context.
My dad used to watch it. I used to remember. He's like, "Oh, he's watching this again." So I just never got around to watching it. And I was like, "This is it's very basic, but just so very cool." And then I immediately watched the second one, and now I've seen that there's a third one out in the cinema right now, which is just like, that's weird how that's dropped. To be fair, I'd probably seen an advert subconsciously. I'd not realised. I'd probably seen an advert for the third one. Went to the first one to watch it. But I was like, how? I don't even understand how I missed that. I completely missed it.
That's a good series. I think 1 and 2, like so many of them are, 1 and 2 are quite different.
Oh yeah.
And what upsets me is that people tend to go, like, if something is too different, then it's worse than the original. It's like, no, it's not worse. It is a whole different story and a different approach. And I think people like Alien and Aliens is like one of the best examples. One is a horror sci-fi and the other one is an outright action sci-fi. Yeah. So you can't compare them, but they're different enough that people don't really compare them. Whereas something like Equalizer and Equalizer 2, it's the same thing. One is a much more slow burn kind of thriller, and the other one is almost an out and out action. So, I think they're both brilliant. But it's just, people sometimes don't like difference and change, and so the second films often get a bit of a bad rep.
Yeah, I think the fourth Matrix film got that. I think everybody was expecting. I think it was a really good film as well. Yeah. I remember watching it thinking, this isn't what I expected. And I think a lot of people watched that and were like, this isn't. They're not fighting everybody all the time, and it's not. But it was clever. It was the whole thing that he's creating the computer game, which is the real world, but it's not the real. Brilliant. And I thought, this is so clever. And I think that just threw people off because it was too different.
Yeah, I agree.
And they were like, no, I need my Matrix 1, 2, and 3, where it's all bullet time and wearing shades and slicked back hair and long black jackets, and motorbikes.
But the problem is that if I guarantee you, if they'd gone back and done that, then the criticism wouldn't be that it's too different. The criticism would be, we've waited 20 years for basically the same film. Could you not come up with anything different? It's like, as it turns out, they did, and they still got criticized. So the problem is, and I think this is why. Now, which one was it? Lana or which of the Wachowskis made the fourth one? Can you remember?
Oh no, I can't. To be fair.
Anyway, it was only one this time instead of two, and I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
the reason that Wachowski, I can't remember, I apologize, made it was because Warner Brothers basically said, look, you can come back and make it, or we're going to make it anyway without you. And they were like, well, we may as well make it. It's not going to be what you want. And, you know, it was super different and lots of people didn't like it. My wife and I both watched it in the cinema. And then we looked at each other afterwards and we're like, really good, really different. Not 100% sure how how that sits with me.
Yeah.
And after a few days of thinking it through, because I like to think about stuff after I've watched it, I was like, actually, it was really clever, and I appreciated the direction they went with it, because they could have just recycled like whatever from 20 years ago, and made almost exactly the same film, because we know that Keanu Reeves can still do it because he's making the John Wick movies and he's kicking absolute backside. But yeah, it would have just been, oh, I've already seen this movie. It was called The Matrix.
So John Wick 4, then what were you? You like it?
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I've seen 1, 2, and 3. I'm really pumped for 4 because you've got so many good people in it, and I really, really want to see how. Oh, he's not going to forgive me. It's on the tip of my tongue. The British actor in the fat suit. What's his name?
Scott Adkins.
Yes, thank you, Scott Adkins. I want to see how Scott Adkins is, because Scott Adkins is a character. I can't wait to see how he plays some Russian mafia boss dude, like hamming it up. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, he's good. He's good in it. It's oh wow.
It's a good start. Wow.
I'm trying to put it into words. Like, it is both incredibly impressive and a bit disappointing, if I'm honest, for me, because I went into, because everybody was going, oh wow, it's this and it's that, it's this and it's that, it's it's brilliant, it's this, but I just found some of it a little bit monotonous. I was a bit like, I was like, yeah, you've been fighting for 5 minutes now. Could we? Yep. Come in, do something else, please. Yeah. You know, which for a guy who likes fight films is maybe surprising, but it was just a bit too. I mean, Donnie Yen's awesome in it, and I mean, I've heard the suggestion that they might be making some spin-offs based on his character, which if they were to do would be
ballerina
amazing.
With Anna de Armas.
Yeah, his character in it was amazing.
Nice.
And they did set it up really well, actually. I won't spoil. There's no spoilers, but they set it up really well for that option to exist if they want. But like in true movie format, they do that with so many films. They set it up for a spin-off and then just do nothing with it. And you're like, why are you not doing anything with these characters? Do something with them. But yeah, it's each film's a bit different. But we got to also take into account there's what was the first film, 2013, 14?
Yeah.
I got it right. I could check.
I want to say 2014.
Yeah. And then you go, I mean, you got to go, I mean, it's a long time. And the fights, the pacing of the fight, I don't know whether it's just the way they shot it or it was choreographed that way. It seems it's just a bit more sort of, I don't want to say lethargic, but I don't know. There was just something about it that wasn't quite right, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And I didn't enjoy it as much. I don't know whether it was just because I was fatigued from the first three.
Maybe it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit like,
Marvel movies and all that jazz.
I don't hate it, but I wasn't like, yeah, this is brilliant. Watch it again straight away. I mean, I went out and bought it the minute it came out because I couldn't have 3 on my shelf and not have 4. I'm looking at them right in front.
So glad you said that. It's not just me. Oh, thank God. Even if I hate a film, if it's part of a series, I have to buy it. It's got to be in my DVD collection. And kids, for those of you who don't know, DVD is this little disc type thing that you used to put into stuff. I know that you download all your stuff these days. Yes, mate.
It's making a comeback. Physical format is making a comeback.
I think it's because some of these larger companies are not looking too hot right now, because they're losing stock shares and what have you. And people have finally realized that if the companies go under, nobody owns anything. You own the rights to stream, but you don't own the physical copy. It's like, I play a lot of video games. I have Xbox and PC. I've purchased games through the store rather than the physical copy. Maybe the last like 8 games. if Microsoft, hopefully it doesn't happen, but if Microsoft ever went bankrupt, I could never play those games again because I don't own the game. I only own the licensing rights to stream that game or download it to the hard drive. But if the company goes under, I've lost everything.
Yeah, no, it's true. And you were instances of people like losing their games catalogs and stuff, don't you, with stuff like that? I mean, I used to play a game. There might be other people out there that used to play this. I used to play a game on PC called H1Z1, which is like a zombie survival game. And I used to play in clans with people from all around the world. It was so cool, like little communities, and you'd build your base and fight the zombies and stuff. And then the company that owned that went bust, and the game just disappeared over. They just switched the servers off, and then it went, and that was it. It was gone, and all the money people had plowed into it, gone,
all gone.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like Starfield. I've just sort of bought Starfield, and that's weird. So, but if it ever came off Game Pass, or if Microsoft ever went under, or if I don't know if it would actually work there, but let's say that for some reason Microsoft sold off ZeniMax and Bethesda, Starfield might end up going with them. I would lose the ability to play it because I don't own the game.
Yeah.
Mental.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's a lot of that sort of stuff. I mean, I went through a period of stopping buying films because I have I'm looking at them now. I have too many. And now I actually have them stacked on top of the shelves. Like
mate.
The double stacking.
Same.
But I've just started buying them again, and a lot of it is down to companies, the likes of like 88 Films, like that. People they're starting to make really smart, nice box sets.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get one now. Little plug. I might be able to get a deal out of this. Hang on.
I don't think I've got any.
This sort of stuff. Like, so I'm getting this one because I'm in it for about 30 seconds. But like Dragons Forever, I've got this. I own this film I've got it on VHS, VCD, DVD, Blu-ray, but they're just packaged really nicely with loads of little extras and things in. Like you get like
nice
books and this
loads of
cool.
photos in there too. And also what I miss from when DVD first came out, because they were trying to, obviously it's like, hey, we got DVD, yeah, we know it's twice the price of a VHS, but we really want you to buy them. So they used to pack them with like behind the scenes and trailers. Love all of that stuff. You buy it online, it's like you're lucky if you get like a 20 minutes after the credits where they're like, well, we should probably do something because DVD's not a format anymore. I miss all the extras. Like I have watched I don't know how many DVDs with the director's commentary on, because I want to hear what the cast and crew's got to say about the making of it process. It's like, I love all that.
Yeah, no, it is good fun. I did a little interview for this one. I was about
sweet,
about 30 seconds, and I'm on the back. I was so excited because I'm like, this is one of my most favorite films ever from a kid.
Nice.
And as somebody approached me and they said, "Oh, will you do like a little interview for it?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I recorded loads of stuff, and then they used literally about 30 seconds. But I'm like, I can still say a minute. And my name's on the back amongst about 7,000 other names. They're all names in that white
list. Who cares? You're up there.
And I'm like, my name's on the list.
Nice.
Yeah,
baby.
It's interesting. I've started buying a lot of stuff again. I've actually got behind. I've had to cover it all up because it's all messy with the flags over there.
Oh
but
yeah.
I've got two VHS players. And the reason I've got two is so that when one breaks, I've got another one to go, because those things are freaking expensive to buy now if you want to get one.
But you'll appreciate this. I've got a VHS player as well, and one of my instructors gifted it to me. So they've got the next not the VHS player, the VHS. So I've got a Borg cube.
Wow.
With VHS tapes in there, and it has all the next generation episodes that have the Borg in them.
Yeah.
And it's packaged in a Borg cube. It's sat on my shelf. I'm like, oh.
Well, there's something about watching some films in VHS they're just better.
Yeah.
Like they were shot. They were obviously edited with VHS in mind, with that 4:3 ratio. They were that's how. So they're just better.
I think one of the best films that you can keep on VHS, and this is why I have the VHS and the DVD and the Blu-ray, is Leon.
Oh yeah.
Leon's an amazing film as it is anyway, but I will prefer to watch it on VHS than DVD, because on DVD, understandably, they've cleaned it all up. It looks lovely, but I think it's more enjoyable when it's a bit more gritty, as it was meant to be. And so I will watch it on VHS over DVD any day. I love the format and the way that it's done, because it was meant for that format.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. And I get that question of people like, why have you got the same film 5 times? Well, because it's different.
Yes, it is.
Because the VCD version is the original Cantonese version, so it's actually 5 minutes longer, and it's this and it's that, and it's like this. And I never sit and watch all the different versions. I just like to own them all, so I've got them all. I've literally got about 5 different versions of Rumble in the Bronx. Nice. In fact, I just went out and bought a new. Well, it's not even new; it's the same cut, but it's a Blu-ray copy because I'd never owned a Blu-ray copy of it. So I got the VHS, VCD, Blu-ray, DVD. I haven't got a Laserdisc version. In fact, I have got Laserdiscs under my desk.
Now I don't, but they were massive, weren't they?
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah, huge discs.
I've got them. They're actually under my desk. I'll show you some later, actually.
Point in case, and I got to bring it up, and I'll bring it up every time because it hurts me to my very soul. It's like when your Star Trek stuff got accidentally thrown away.
Oh, mate, don't even.
Dude, I mean, I know that you're kind of over it because you've told me I'm beyond it, but every time I think about it, it hurts me.
So for those people that don't know this story, I moved house. I moved personally a lot, sort of 2001 to 2003. I sort of moved around a lot. I know it'd be before then, it'd be late 90s actually. And so I had all my stuff like in storage and all that. And then my mum was like, what do you want me to do with all this Star Wars stuff? And I'm like, well, I've got a few little bits from when I was a kid, like a knackered Millennium Falcon, and I'm going to just give it to a charity shop. She didn't mean Star Wars. She gave all of including, if you remember, the old models you used to be able to buy and make, that now you buy them for like hundreds of pounds because you can't get. Yeah, they all went. I had action figures. I managed to save some stuff. Thank God, it didn't all go. But yeah, the rest all went to some charity. Some kid somewhere probably got it for like a £5. It was worth hundreds.
Yeah,
and it all went.
Just because when I was a kid, I never got any of that because my parents didn't like. Oh, we're not wasting money on stuff from TV. It's like if it doesn't really have a practical. So I never got Power Rangers toys or Star Trek toys. Woe is me, blah blah blah. First world problems. But when I hear that somebody did have all that and they lost it, it hurts me a lot.
Yeah,
a lot.
I managed to say I managed to keep the majority of my books and a few things, but yeah, the rest of it went. Which at the time I wasn't actually all that fussed because I'd kind of gone out of that window a little bit. I was focused on chasing my then girlfriend around and training and sparring, and I wasn't bothered. And then as I've got older and sort of got back into things again, I was like, it would have been really nice to have still had all that stuff.
Have a little collection.
And I wonder where it's all gone.
See,
because I think once the closer you get to your 40s, the more you revert to being a child again, and you want to
being a kid.
Yeah, you want to get back all that childhood stuff that you had.
Yeah,
I'm looking at I've got a unit over here now that is covered in stuff from my childhood, and yeah, I don't know. It's just a thing we all go through, isn't it? A little bit.
Totally. As I've, as my wife would say, wasted a ton of money on a load of CRAP. So for those of you who obviously are not watching this, listening, is that I just pan the camera over and I've got like loads of Fallout stuff.
I've noticed that.
That's massive Fallout fan. Love it. I've played I've played them all. Cut to the chase. So yeah, I got bobbleheads. I even went to a games convention in 2018, and it was just before they released Fallout 76. So everybody was very optimistic. Nobody knew the pile of poop that was going to be, but they were giving loads of stuff away as well. So I've got like Vault Boy masks and hats and all sorts of Fallout stuff, and I've probably spent a pretty penny on some. Some of it's been donated to me, which was really nice. Like I've got a T-51 Power Armor helmet there, which would have cost a lot, and I got that for free because my sister donated it to me as part of my collection. But yeah, I think as you get older, you revert back to being a kid and start spending your money on toys, which is why I can't wait until there's Starfield merchandise because I'm going to get all in on that.
So when the world goes to shit, you're the guy that's ready for it then, by the sounds of it.
Damn straight. It's like any fanboy. Anybody who's a fanboy of zombie films, it's like everybody reckons they can take on the zombie apocalypse. Oh, I'll be fine. I got a stainless steel cheap katana here, and I'll go. It's like, dude, you'll be the first one to go. So I'm that dude. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna survive. It's like, nah, you're in the first wave. You're done. You're over with.
You're a zombie prepper.
You're a zombie. It's like you're way too confident. It's like you're never going to survive the first wave. But I've got a theory. Sorry about because I'm a huge zombie film fan. Like,
Okay.
possibly a bit bigger than martial arts fan in terms of zombie films.
Really, I didn't know.
Yeah.
That.
Oh my god, I went through a phase with zombie films. I went back and got all the Romero stuff. I bought books on the top. Like, I love them. And my theory is the reason that we will actually be fine in the UK compared to America is because we have a lot of double glazing.
That's very true.
You look in any zombie film and they are busting through those windows, no problem. America needs double glazing. It's the only way they goes.
Well,
Whereas
they need
me,
to start making the house out of stuff other than wood.
yeah.
What's that all about?
Whereas I'm up in my little office, I got double glazing. It's a brick house. It's like zombie apocalypse comes. Yeah, I might run out of food, whatever. But they're never breaking in. Or coffee. No, I'll never run out of coffee. No. I've got so much dotted about the house. Like that shelf there, that's nothing. I'll run out of food before I run out of coffee. So yeah, we'll be right. America just needs to update their windows, basically. That's my theory.
Updating their windows.
Yeah.
In every way. Updating windows, that's the bane of my life. It's always got the most. No, actually, I'll tell a lie. I was integrating the weekend, and I would run everything. Yeah, it's technology, so I've got all my iPads set up, and the freaking things all updated at the same time, didn't they?
Oh no.
I'm like, sitting there, just chill amongst yourselves whilst I wait for this thing to do.
I don't use Apple. I use Android and Windows. Does it not allow you to postpone that update?
Yeah, it does. And if you just keep doing it for long enough, it just goes, nah, screw you. You've been waiting.
What you're telling me is that you'd postponed it so many times that basically turn around and say, look, Chris, we're not running properly anymore, mate.
You're
we
stuck
need
in
to
2015, yeah. You need to get with the times, dude. Yeah, I know.
Because it's with the Apple, with the Samsung watches and stuff, they just say, do you want to postpone it until tonight? And I was like, yeah. So all my stuff updates at 2 a.m. in the morning. Which to be fair, because I'm up so late, I've been caught out by that a few times, and it's really annoyed me. I'm there doing something, and then 2 a.m. clocks in. It's like, boom, we're updating. I'm like, no, because I'm still awake.
You work on demo time.
Yeah,
just different from everybody else.
Like my TV is set so that it switches off automatically at 3 a.m. because I'll have the television on in the background to fall asleep to, because I don't like peace when I'm trying to sleep. I like peace when I'm relaxing, but not when I'm trying to sleep. I like a bit of background noise.
Okay.
And many a time I've been on Starfield recently, and it says your TV's about to switch off. No, because it's 3 a.m. I'm like, I probably really should go to bed.
Go to sleep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
God, I can't do that anymore.
I'm rapidly approaching a stage where I can't. So I've got to stop it. It's stupid. I'm running a business and I'm raising children, and how can I turn around to them and say, well, you got to get to bed, you got to get some sleep, it's healthy for you? It's like, yeah, but Dad, you stay up till 3 a.m. You make a good point.
Actually, on the topic of running a business, a nice way to close it out. What you got going on? Is anything people can look out for or expect to see? Or, this is the part where you can say something and you can look back at it in a year's time and go, I've done that. Or you go, that was wishful thinking.
No, that's fair. So there are a few things I'm working on at the moment, as there always are. But I've actually gotten to the stage where I'm stepping back from all the projects because I got too much. So the things that we're doing at the moment is obviously launching more schools. That goes without saying. We spoke about at the beginning. But I'm also building a little online thing. I want to make it free for as long as possible, where it's kind of like I suppose like a Facebook community is the closest thing to bring it to. It's not going to be on Facebook because I don't like Facebook, where instructors can kind of go and talk about the problems that they're having with their either family classes, although I know that's kind of gone out of fashion. Family classes are very good for retention because you've got the parents in there who are keeping the kids going. and they work together. It's really, really good. So I would recommend. But I've had a few people contact me saying that we don't do family classes. So how do we get that started? And the same with kids. It's like, and so I thought, well, let's just create a community where we can chat about these things. And every so often I'll upload a video saying, look, this is what we're doing. And if it helps you, great. And if it doesn't, no worries. You know, got a little bit of what we're doing. So I've kind of like taken the foot off the pedal when it comes to all of my extra projects, because I'm essentially just knuckling down and making sure that the schools that I've got and the instructors that I've got are supported. Because I'm not announcing retirement, but my job role over the next decade will switch probably from teaching students to teaching instructors. So that's kind of like where I'm slowly transferring to, because I teach 6 days a week and I bloody love it. Absolutely adore teaching classes.
Yeah.
But I've got to make sure that the business is robust for the future. I was talking to one of my instructors, and actually I've had this conversation with my wife. And so if there's any competition out there who wants to get rid of me, listen very carefully. If I were to no longer be around because of, say, a
steady on
accident,
oh right, I was gonna say
no, because of I'm not announcing.
you're not inviting them to come and take you out, are you?
I spend so much time on the motorway that if I wasn't here tomorrow, the business would end.
That's true. Yeah,
And that's the case. That's the case with a lot of martial arts instructors. Is like, if you are not here tomorrow, how is your school keeping going? And for me, that poses a bigger problem. If I'm not here tomorrow and my school ends, how's my family looked after? And I don't think enough people think about that, or at least not enough martial arts instructors. So I'm making sure that the business is safeguarded against the future, because if I were to get hit by a car or some such, because it happens, how are you going to look after your family? So if I can end, it's a bit morbid, but if I can end with anything, I'd want martial arts instructors to think about how they're setting their families up for the future.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's like the biggest thing that I'm moving towards at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I think that's a positive one to end on. Not you being involved in a car accident on the motorway, but more the thought of what you would.
I spend so much time on the motorway; it's crossed my mind. But this is it. You got it. I think Matt Chapman does it beautifully. Like, he's gone a different route. He didn't want to teach classes anymore, but he wants to set his family up. It's like, when he's retired from making videos, he's got so many hundreds, if not thousands, of videos that he can continue to sell and sell forever.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good way. It's like, either go and support your business by opening up more clubs so it runs without you, or stop teaching, do loads of videos, so that when you're knackered and you're old and you're 80 and you can't kick anymore, it's like, you're still making money because you're still selling what you did when you were young. Love video format. I think more should do it. So yeah, safeguard your business, folks. Make sure that it operates without you.
Well, there you go. On that positive note, we should bring this to a conclusion. Thank you for your time. It's been a pleasure.
No,
hopefully it's been what you expected.
I honestly didn't really know what to expect. I will say one quick thing, quick plug. I've completely forgot. The reason I look a little bit homeless, for those of you that can see, is because I am actually raising money for Macmillan. Next time,
I was wondering. I didn't want to say.
Next time we see each other, I will probably be bald and beardless, because that's what I've agreed to do. We've raised a few hundred already, which is really good. But I thought I'd best explain my look, because I'm normally much better kept than this.
Send me the link and I'll drop it in the show notes. If anybody wants to chuck you a few quid, they can do that.
But yeah, next time we see each other, I'll probably be bald, because right now I feel homeless. When you wake up and you look at yourself in the mirror going, you're a mess. That's what I'm doing every day right now.
Oh dear me. Well, I didn't want to say anything, but yeah, the thought did cross my mind. I thought, I won't be rude.
Love it.
I'm thinking he's just been living in that little room on his own for however many.
Just keeping away the zombies and playing with my Fallout figurines. Yeah, that's all I've been doing.
That's the name of the episode. Thanks for that.
Love it.
Just provided the name of the episode right there. All right, well, on that note, we shall call it a day. Thank you, sir, and have a good rest of your day, and we'll catch up soon.
Take care, mate. Bye.